I'd like to call the City of LaPorte Board of Works and Safety meeting together here at 9 a.m. and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Roger Galloway, Councilman Roger Galloway, lead us in the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of minutes. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from last meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Approval of minutes, public comment. Because we're live and we're transitioning virtually, we will keep that open to any public comments throughout the meeting and address them at the end. But as of right now, we do not have any. Clerk Treasurer claims report, and I will mute my.
Okay, we have City of LaPorte payroll in the amount of $402,598.59.
I'll make a motion that we approve the payroll.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
We've got civil city claims in the amount of $320,053.68, which includes May trash service.
I move we approve the civil claims.
Second.
Do I have a motion? Sorry, I have to mute. Motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
Wastewater claims in the amount of $86,633.09.
I move we approve the wastewater claims.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
And then finally, we've got water claims in the amount of $59,370.13.
I move we approve the water claims.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Okay, we're going to get back with department heads. Does anybody have anything they'd like to share that's not on the agenda? Hearing none. Request for use, new business, Bethany Church, and I think Mr. Otis will present.
I think he's on mute.
Yeah, he still is.
I just sent them a text.
Thank you, Mark.
Comment on that.
Do I have a motion first?
Mayor, we didn't hear anything because Nick was on mute. Can you start over, Nick, please?
Yeah, I can go ahead and read it. This is a request for use of city property for Bethany Church,
Me.
for Bethany Church for an outdoor tent and drive-in worship service on Sunday at 9 a.m. for May 24th, May 31st, June 7th, and June 14th. So can I have a motion?
I'll make a
So moved.
motion that we approve the Bethany request.
Second.
I have a motion and a second discussion. Chief Breton, thoughts, or Chief Snyder on this?
I don't have any issue with it, Mayor.
Chief Breton, you were muted.
I'm sorry. I was muted. I have no problems on my end.
Any other discussion?
It looks like it meets any sort of noise ordinance for that.
Right.
Okay, no other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. City of LaPorte Trash Service, Presbyterian Church.
The Presbyterian Church at 307 Kingsbury is requesting to be added to the trash service, whereas last Board of Works meeting, we had the BMV requesting to take off their trash service. So the Presbyterian Church a few years back opted out of services. They had a different trash removal service. They would like to opt back in. So I just need the Board of Works to approve adding trash service back.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion regarding the Presbyterian Church receiving that service? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Polling locations, I'll have to mute here for Mr. Otis.
Thank you. This is a request to allow the county to use 3 locations that the city owns. Historically, this actually did not come before the Board of Works, but because of what is going on, I just wanted to get the approval of the Board of Works. So the 3 locations are the Civic Auditorium, which I believe actually houses 3 precincts, Cummings Lodge, and then the Transport Building. We've been in communication with Beth West, our Transport Director, and Mark Schreiber. Neither have any concerns. I spoke with Kathy Kroback. There is a significant amount of PPE that will be available to both the volunteers and poll workers along with voters. And they're going to limit the number of people in the rooms at each time as well. So asking for approval to allow the polling locations to occur on city properties.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second discussion. I think the county has a good plan. Our biggest concern is to make sure our employees that are at those locations potentially, such as transport, such as civic, are safely working, not coming into interaction with the public. But I think the county has again, as Mr. Otis said, a strong plan with PPE to protect everybody involved. So any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Courtney Parthune or Clerk Treasurer Parthune, Baker Tilly, and I will mute here.
Okay, I'm asking for the board's approval for a Baker Tilly agreement. Baker Tilly provides us in the clerk treasurer's office with annual budget assistance and analysis. It's an additional kind of safety net for us, especially as a new clerk treasurer.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Baker Tilly contract.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second discussion. And again, we'll have to mute and unmute.
The only question I had was on that exhibit A, like the item K, where It talks about, let's see, attending the public meetings, and we've got a highlighted section, but I couldn't quite figure out what the intent was. Were there going to be separate charges for like each additional attendance, or I just wasn't quite sure where that was going. Could someone explain that part?
You want to say that, Joni?
Yes, it's Exhibit A, Item K.
I'm gonna have Joni speak to this because they've been helping us for several years.
They don't attend our meetings. They basically come in and with Gateway, we're able to upload a lot of information before they actually come into the office. And they just review that information, make sure our revenues are on track. And so they don't attend any meetings.
Okay. All right. So, because I wasn't sure if then it's like the fee structure kind of kicks in additionally for that. So that's just
Kosher. The only time Baker Tilly does come to meetings, it typically city council meetings on specific bond issues, which this is not a part of. So, fair question, but yeah, for this, they typically wouldn't attend a meeting.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll drag them in when we're doing great work, so you'll see them then. But then again, that's another issue, kind of independent of this.
okay.
And also, Mr. Koster, this body approved an additional contract with Baker Tilly, if you remember, where we have a financial plan for the first time ever in the city of LaPorte. Right now, is the state information. Someone's volume on.
Oh, it's me.
We're talking about potentially receiving 10 to 30% of normal property tax revenues. We think that we're going to see normalcy probably this summer leading into the fall, but next year is when city units of government will feel the strain of this COVID situation. And again, I don't find it 10%, but certainly there is some belief that we need to prepare for some reductions and rethink how we do business. So I think Baker Tilly is an excellent addition for what we're about to go through over the next year. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Agreements for a gift of real estate to a municipality. This is, we need a motion here to accept a gift from a,
I move we accept the real estate property gift.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any discussions? I just would like to thank everybody involved for this. This is an amazing opportunity. And we look forward to the future of the city of LaPorte. So with that, all in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Andy Snyder, firefighter, end of employment pension disability, request and a request to fill a vacancy. Chief Snyder.
Thank you, Your Honor. I had sent the board members a copy, CC'd them on a copy of a letter to firefighter Bruce Jones. He had requested pension and disability benefits back in February. That went through the state process and he was approved for that. So that has ended his employment as of April 30th, 2020 with the city of LaPorte. So I want that to be entered into the record for the Board of Public Works and also to request the board approve us to fill his vacancy within the department.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Discussion?
Andy, do you guys have someone slated that will be able to move in and fill this position quickly?
It'll start through the normal merit commission process of forwarding a name to us. So probably will be about 1st of August, second week of August by the time we would look to have this position filled.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
Thank
Chief
you.
Breton, FirstNet.
Good morning. You have before you the proposal from FirstNet. FirstNet, provider for our internet service in our cars. We currently use Verizon. We've had that probably 4 to 5 years. The modems are probably nearing the end of their life. Well, and to be quite honest, service is not that good. The fire department went to FirstNet. The sheriff's department is doing so now. We have tested modems. We have run into no dead spots, no cutoffs. Several times with Verizon, we cut off our service. Everything we get are lifelines through these computers in the cars now. All our information that we run and everything. So we started looking at FirstNet, went back and forth with them. The first numbers were ungodly, what they wanted, and kept telling them to sharpen their pencil along with Charlie Smith, and we got them down to the $40 per unit now. And we need 40 units in our cars to make this work. They've given us rebates. They're going to float the rebates for us. And then the monthly service will be the exact same as Verizon is currently. And they're waiving the first month to make it a little bit easier on us as well.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. So discussion, and I think the most important part of the FirstNet, Chief, is that through a natural disaster, something happens, a tornado, you get first access to live line, correct?
Yes, that's correct. And that they'll never cut us off. Basically, they'll drop regular customers. And the problem we have now is I personally have Verizon cell phone service. If my cell phone service goes down, we lose our communication to the cars. This eliminates that completely.
And so they take top priority. AT&T has done this, I know on a state basis, but also they focused on Indiana. And so I think this is a great program. We're actually going to put code enforcement on it as well, so that between fire, police, and code, they will all have access through a natural disaster, that they will not lose service, which I think will be important during that time.
I have some interest in that network. We're doing Verizon right now, and our data rates are really high and very limiting. So this is quite interesting.
Well, and Jerry, I think that we can mention to them, because they focused on first responders, but I think we have a case to share regarding sewer, water, and the importance of a natural disaster, that you have access to communication.
If your sewage pump station isn't working in your neighborhood, it's an emergency.
That's right. A big emergency.
Trust me, for a few people at 10 o'clock at night when they call me, it is, it seems so. Any other discussion? If Courtney Parthun, I will, or Treasurer Parthun, I'll mute for a moment.
So being that multiple departments were requesting FirstNet services, we did call FirstNet. We have talked to them. AT&T has approved for the entire city of LaPorte through the state contract for internet service provided for first responders, law enforcement, but for all of the city of LaPorte. So all of the departments are already pre-approved. And then we just gave you kind of a breakdown here to make what they sent a little bit easier to digest. So they gave us quite a price break for all of the devices, and everyone is approved, including engineering, the mayor, whoever might need services. Jerry, your department. So I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, our internet service, we're using Verizon and cell modems, and it's out at all our lift stations, which we have 30 of them. So, I mean, this could be a real nice change.
Well, and just as a side note, Steve Rogers, who heads the program for AT&T in the state of Indiana, is a St. Peter's CCD graduate with me and high school graduate of LaPorte. So he's kind of running the program. So it's good to have somebody I mean, he's based in Indianapolis, but somebody that still has family and so forth running the program for us.
And Jerry, where you're at is kind of a dead spot with Verizon. We often lost it in our squad cars in that area on a traffic stop or whatever. So it is kind of sketchy right there with Verizon. This should solve that.
They put the sewage plant at the low point in town and on purpose.
Yeah.
So work through, I'd ask the department heads that are interested, that are approved, that they work through Courtney Parthune if they want to add the department to this program. And let's get all on the same page. So we do have a motion. We have a second. Do we approve it? All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. And Chief, you can bring your family down, or their family of the new officers down once we begin with Lakeshore Drive. And then
Okay.
we'll bring those individuals in. Tom Casey, Maintenance Program Agreement.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to ask the Board of Works to approve a maintenance agreement for City Hall. This is a mechanical agreement with DA Dodd Company. It's quarterly preventive maintenance, includes all filters and any other equipment that's needed to complete it. Basically, it's going to ensure us that the system is working properly and up to warranty, and also keep the warranty on the new equipment. In the past, it looked as though in the past few years, there wasn't any preventive maintenance agreement in place, and calls were just made as issues came up. This, in the long term, will save us a lot of money and ensure that we keep the equipment under warranty. The cost is $5,700 for the entire year, and I would request that we enter into this agreement as quickly as possible.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion.
Is this who the provider was for the past year, or have we not had a maintenance plan in place?
We have not had a preventive maintenance agreement in the past at least 2 years, from what I can see. I think it would, as I said earlier, I think a previous, I apologize, I don't remember her name. A previous employee of the city would just call when there were issues with temperatures. So nothing was, filters weren't changed. And in this day and age, we have to have good air quality, and we need to maintain the equipment. A lot of the equipment is still under warranty. We don't want to lose that. So it's key, and it's reasonable, and they're a good firm. I'm very familiar with their work in the past.
This is something that is necessary here at this older building of City Hall. So, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Jen Knoll, job descriptions, engineering coordinator and project engineer.
Good morning. Yeah, so these job descriptions reflect what was recently passed at the city council meeting. We have the engineering coordinator, which we changed the job title and updated the job description for the administrative assistant to better reflect what that person will be doing on a daily basis. And then also have the project engineer, which is a new position recently passed through city council. So these are the job descriptions that reflect those positions. So asking for your approval on those job descriptions.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. I know we have to be responsible during the difficult times, but if we want to move LaPorte forward, and the number of projects that we have going right now cannot just lay on the backs of one engineer, Nick Minnick. We need a team here, and this is necessary because there's also a cost to not having these. There's a cost to the city, cost to the community, not being able to get projects done because we only have one person basically in that department.
And I might add that Nick's department is down 2 people. So the project engineer and the added duties, the engineering coordinator will replace those 2 vacancies.
And this will not affect their budget.
Right.
Will increase their budget. Any other questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Unfinished business, Lakeshore Drive project, Nick Minnick. Now that you've got a little help in line here.
Yeah, thank you very much. We have reviewed the bids from the Lakeshore Drive project, worked with our engineer to try and do additional value engineering and get the project within the budget that we have available. We believe at this point, looking at the items that were over budget, that rebidding the project would be the best scenario for the city. There are several items that would potentially come in lower as a rebid if we do a slight revision to the design.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
I have a motion and a discussion. I guess there's a lot of discussion going on at Nick's house about this project. But I just want to say, I think this was a good move. Nick, we'll still see this project, and this is the bike project along with the road project of Lakeshore Drive. We were over $1 million roughly in the initial bid, correct?
Over around 200,000.
Or was it 200? But we're going to have the same look, the quality look that we've approved, and still come within budget. Okay, any questions?
Yes.
No, just, I mean, I think I kind of echo that we don't, we certainly would hate to see the look and the feel and the quality of any piece of this project be diminished. So there's, you know, obviously when we talk about, you know, value engineering, it's less about getting, to me, like, let's not get less expensive items unless they absolutely make sense. But I would rather see if there's a certain piece of it that we maybe delay and then add on later, you know, whatever that might be. Maybe we've got the decking, but we don't put in the park benches right away, or whatever it is, to really maintain the integrity of the project. I think that's kind of the critical piece of it. So hopefully we can find some areas like that to make this work.
Yeah, an example would be one of the most expensive parts of the project ended up being the median between the trail and the road. That median was designed in a way that we believe could be almost a better design after we saw prices come in and saw some different pay items. So that's one item that's going to be a nice kind of big ticket item to reduce costs. Some other things are just moving things into alternatives and changing how we kind of structure pay items.
And the only difference in delay is the project would hopefully be completed instead of July, will be completed in August, correct? Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes 3-0. But before we go to the other business of swearing in our new police officers, which we won't be able to do via Zoom, we'll go out front. I just want to update everybody on a couple projects. Number one, the long anticipated Tibma Bakery. Tom Casey, if you don't mind sharing the demolition of Tibma Bakery, which I think is great for the community of LaPorte.
Not at all, Mayor. Thanks. We're in the process of completing an environmental inspection of that property and getting a current status so that we can actually bid the demolition of that building out. So first step is we need to know exactly what's in there and what the contractor will have to deal with. I would expect that we should have that within the next 2 weeks. And then after that point, we'll be bidding it out for demolition and hopefully demolishing Tibma Bakery sometime near July.
A long time coming. And then as well, I know you and Marianne Richards are looking at talking with groups about lower income housing.
Yes, we're looking at one nonprofit that would be considering a two duplex style homes that would be for moderate to low income families.
I think there's a few people on this call that might be interested in hearing more as that moves closer. So that's the first step. Okay, and then also I want to update everybody on the COVID situation. The federal government through the state government has has dollars available to local units of government. The city of LaPorte was granted $701,000 of reimbursement dollars, which Courtney will argue, but I said will be difficult to be reimbursed for. But we are looking at different things because of the new normal of how we interact with the public, how we allow for payments, how we provide public meetings so that as many people as possible in our community can follow, watch what's happening. So we're looking at technology, looking at drive-throughs through the city hall, all different types of new ways of doing things. And those dollars could be used as reimbursement. So I think you're going to see a new way to interact with the public and how City Hall can be more available to the public without people ever having to leave their home or their business too. So we'll continue to work on new ideas and thoughts there.
Mayor, have those dollars already been distributed to you and they'll be forgiven after you can prove that they are for reimbursed expenses or for qualified expenses? How does that work?
They're available from March 1st to December 31st of 2020, and they have to be approved, and everything would work through the county. So our reimbursement would come through the county.
Okay.
Bert Cook, do you want to update everybody really quick, just briefly on Flaherty and Collins, the latest, and any other projects?
Thanks, Mayor. Sure. Just for a moment here, Flaherty and Collins, we're continuing to move forward. A lot of, as we've talked about at previous meetings, it's a major bond issuance. There's a lot of steps that are actively happening through the Economic Development Commission, the Redevelopment Commission, the City Council. So that continues to move forward with ultimately the vertical construction beginning in July. And then the other project that I probably would touch on that since your last meeting, we've released press on the Rural King, the Maple Lane Mall. A lot of excitement within the community. Rural King is intending to open their store there by March of 2021, and we'll shortly see major renovations coming to the building itself, but the parking lot and the entirety of the property. So that released about 10 days ago, and we've had a lot of calls and excitement about that. So I know many people are excited to see that begin. That's my update, Mayor.
Thank you. And there's, through this COVID situation, there's many other projects besides those that we're engaged in currently. And I just haven't seen, I've not seen where other communities have as much stuff working as we do. So kudos to the economic development team, the project team, everybody working together. That's, I think over the next year is going to be a lot of fun to watch. So I think we do have some public comment. Oh, yes.
Dusty Schoaf asked a couple questions about wastewater, and it looked like Clerk Treasurer Courtney Parthun already answered his question on Facebook and provided her contact information if he had anything else. But he also asked about whether the city is doing the 50-50 sidewalk grants this year. I'll mute. Nick Minnick, if you want to offer a comment on that.
Yeah, we are doing the 50-50 sidewalk grant this year. It's in the budget. Part of the position that Board of Works approved earlier, that position is usually the person that would keep that project moving forward. So we intend to do the 50-50 sidewalk project. The projects will probably start later in the summer and be completed this fall.
And I'm sorry.
We can't hear Nick.
Go off, huh? Nick, we didn't hear the first part about the 50-50, just that it's going to start a little bit later, correct?
Correct. The hiring of the new position that was approved by the Board of Works will help that project move forward. It'll start later in the summer and be completed by the fall.
Okay. Jerry Jackson, do you mind sharing a little bit, because we do get a lot of calls about the lake and the water levels, and just share with the public what we're all doing. And again, it always reminds me, hey, you've told me from day one, the minute we take the water out, we can't put it back in. So you're very cautious on how much we're taking out at a time.
Well, I am cautious. As you said, you can't put water back in. But we've had 4 years in a row of above average rain, and this year we're above average again. So we've been taking out water all winter long, running the siphon. Right now, the lake level is 798.2, which is 0.2 of a foot, a couple inches above where we normally turn the drain on. So it's a little higher than we normally let it go. The running the siphon now with the pump going, so we're running at I'm looking at the number here on my other screen, 8.8 million gallons a day. And we've taken literally feet of water out of the lake in the last year. So it's just been the last 4 years have been a very unusual set of circumstances, and we've got to, and we've got done some significant maintenance on the system. We replaced the guts of the screen, spent 50 or 60,000 last year on it. We got some pump work to do. So it's a system that's part of the stormwater, wastewater department. We keep it running and do the best we can to control lake level.
But you would tell everybody that's asking, when they maybe not see the water running 24/7 or have concerns about the lake level, you are managing it every day.
Yes, absolutely. Our sewer crew runs it. That's part of their job. They check it to make sure it's working, and it is running every day. We've just had that much rain, and of course we had more than 3 inches over the weekend, so that immediately bumps the lake up 3 inches plus. So yeah, we are running it every day. The golf course and us, we've been talking back and forth. It also drains a big chunk of the golf course, that same system. So it's a valuable asset for the city.
And I'll just remind Todd Taylor that hole number 16, I guess, keep the flood water off of there, as I'm reminded from people.
Mayor,
and we do have a couple of questions. Just want to read them to me.
Councilman Frankie asked, the COVID-19 reimbursable expense approval after.
Yeah, sure. Councilman Frankie, there is an application process. The county requires supporting document for possible expenditures. So we will keep you updated as we know more. It's new for all of us, so we don't want to pre-spend if it's not reimbursable, if that makes sense. We want to make sure that we are whole.
And then
Nick, and then the question came up for the plan for sidewalks from Kingsbury Ave to Kessling. And obviously, I know Tim Frankie and many of us want to see 18th Street with a sidewalk to Kessling, but you want to go ahead and address that?
The sidewalks between essentially I Street and Kingsbury along 18th Street were originally part of the federal aid project that paved 18th Street. In order to keep the 18th Street paving project on track, we removed the sidewalk portion. We still have federal dollars for the sidewalk portion and are working on design for that section. There's additional environmental review, NEPA documentation necessary to complete that. And that process is longer, and that's why that project was pushed back instead of doing it when the rest of 18th Street was paved. But there is an intention to have access along 18th Street, and then eventually we would like to fill the gap between 18th Street and just along Kingsbury to get up to the network north of that area.
Any other?
There's also a question about whether golf carts will ever be allowed on city streets. That's more of a council question, I believe. But
Yes, golf carts on city streets. That's the one part of the legislature I did not miss, is having to deal with golf carts in the state of Indiana. But I know Mr. Frankie or Councilman Frankie's interested in that, and that'll be a council decision of how they move forward there. With that, also I want to mention about code enforcement as the grass is growing. And we see especially a focus on Pine Lake Avenue, grass coming up through the sidewalks of homeowners and so forth. That's not going to be acceptable. Jeff Batchelor and his team is working on making sure everything looks like it should in our community. And I think the standard hasn't been set in the past, but it is now. So please, if you need help, if you can't clean up your yard, if you're having issues, please notify code enforcement. We can work with you. We have groups that potentially can help cut your grass, clean up property. But when we see grass coming through the sidewalk, that's just unacceptable. Coming into our community and is in the process, if you notice now, being cleaned up. In fact, Jeff was on the state of Indiana because they weren't cleaning up their portion and got their mowers out last week. So that standard is being set. And if the public sees areas that need to be addressed, please contact us so we can work with the homeowners, the residents to address those uncomfortable areas. And that brings me to spring cleanup, which is now summer cleanup, will be July 13th through the 17th. We work with RTS and they felt comfortable delaying through the COVID situation, but we have set for July 13th through the 17th. Any other questions, discussion? Hearing none, great news now. We're about to swear in 2 new officers. And we will go out front and do that. I'm going to ask everybody else, have a great day. Jessica, Romine, Mark Kosher, if you don't mind just hanging on here, I'll have to come back indoors to adjourn the meeting after we swear these 2 officers in. Thank you and have a great day, everybody. And then Jessica and Mark hang out and we'll be back to you.